Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Try that again. Sorry, I go back to declaring the meeting open at 9 a.m. on the 2nd of November and call for apologies. We do have an apology from Councillor O'Grady and moved the Deputy Mayor and seconded Councillor Cameron that Councillor O'Grady's apology be received. All in favour? Thank you, that's carried. The next item on the agenda is messages of condolence. Councillors, do we have any messages of condolence? No messages of condolence. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is prior notifications of conflicts of interest.
We have none received.
Thank you, Brooke. Yep, no conflicts of interest registered for today. The next item on the agenda is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And the first thing I'd like to discuss is the Local Government Association of Queensland's 125th annual conference. And of course, that was held in Mackay just recently. And I want to take the opportunity to thank Greg Hallam for his 29 years of service to local government, or actually to the Local Government Association, and 40 years service to local government, who has retired, and now Alison Smith is the new CEO of the Local Government Association of Queensland. So thank you, Greg, for everything you've done for local government across Queensland and across Australia. He's also been the voice of reason and wisdom at the Australian Local Government Association board meetings as well for many years. So he will certainly... his knowledge will be missed, but no doubt his phone number will still continue to ring very often when people are looking for advice. We're very proud to support our neighbouring councils across central Queensland with the motions that were put forward and all passed. And of course, we had a motion of our own, which Councillor Goodluck will speak to in general business, which was also passed by conference as well. So thank you to all the councillors who attended. And there is one thing I'd like to do now. At the conference, Councillor Hansen was acknowledged for his 15 years of service to local government. So I have a certificate for Rick, and I'd like to say thank you, Rick, for your service to the Gladstone region, but local government in general. And on behalf of the Local Government Association, congratulations. And I'll wrap up my Mayor's statement just by acknowledging that the school awards ceremonies are happening now, and the Year 12s will soon be graduating. So congratulations to all the Year 12 graduating students. It has been a very tough couple of years for those students, particularly, and obviously last year, but again this year going through certainly very different times. So congratulations to our graduating students and to everyone who's participating in the award ceremony right across the Gladstone region. Congratulations on your efforts. The next item on the agenda is the confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover for the confirmation of the 19th of October? Thank you. Move Councillor Churchill, seconded Councillor Branthwaite. Is there any business arising? No business arising. I put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the officers' report. And the first officers' report is G3.1, the 2020-2021 annual report. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Strategy and Transformation, Carly Quinn. Thank you, Carly.
Morning, councillors, CEO, community. So today I have the pleasure of presenting the 2021 annual report. The theme this year for the report is Our Community and Our Future. We're providing a transparent account of councillor and corporate governance and disclosures in line with our legislated and regulatory obligations. The report talks to who we are, our councillors, our youth council, our people, our volunteers and our community. This year we've dedicated pages to shine a light on our 7 business units. That's an improvement you'll see on previous years. The pages are highlight the services delivered and the success in the 2021 and what there is to look forward to in the year to come. It also details the outcomes of our operational plan, where we delivered 80% of the actions within our operational plan, moving forward 6 of our 9 strategic goals towards our corporate plan. The report also specifically calls out the COVID pandemic. Our response to COVID showed the resilience of our people, with stories highlighting how we supported the community to stay safe, and our IT response in particular to enable remote work, and how restrictions inspired our people to create new and exciting events. Our COVID recovery plan delivered 45 of the 46 actions across economic, community and tourism recovery. And some interesting data that's provided throughout the report includes we're servicing a community of over 63,000 people across a span of just under 10,500 square kilometres. We have 735 employees with $2.5 billion worth of assets, $236.5 million in expenditure on our budget. And we delivered a $70.6 million capital works program, including $17.2 towards capital sewerage projects, $14 million towards capital roads projects, and $10.7 million towards capital water projects. We secured over $27 million in funding, and we also have 29 apprentices and trainees. 49% of our workforce is female, and we had over 650,000 unique views of Council's website throughout the year. Over 140,000 visits to our landfill and transfer stations, and 390 internal nominations for our Employee Service Awards. Our employees completed just under 10,800 internal courses in our online management system as well, in our dedication to developing our people. There's lots more data to be found in the report, as well as some great stories of the challenges and successes that Council's experienced during the year. The report was a great example of collective delivery, which is this year's theme for our operational plan. We had many areas of the business working together to deliver this great product. If you're a regular reader of our annual report, you'll see the improvements made year on year, and I'd really like to commend the team for that continuous improvement on this product. It's been an improvement journey from being just a legislative document or a legislative requirement to being one that tells open, transparent stories to the community. And I commend the team for their great efforts. They've done really well, they've worked well together, and I'm really proud of this product. So proud of the report, and commit it to you for endorsement today. There is one slight change. You all have a new product, a new report there. We did realise just after we'd published the agenda that the legislative index page numbers had been adjusted from the time. So there's a new report there, and I'd like to table that report. What it would mean is just changing the officer's recommendation and adding the words as tabled. So the new recommendation is that the 2021 Gladstone Regional Council annual report be adopted as tabled, and the new version will be published today.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Sarah. Questions to the General Manager, please. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Mayor Matt, and I'm sure you'll probably wrap up with your own comments at the end, but again, exemplary, this report, and I found it quite impressive in reading the relevant data. So, like all of us, we'll encourage everybody and anybody to make sure that they do read this document. I have some question or comment, and then I've got a couple of quick questions to make, whether they're actually to you as the General Manager or to one of the other General Managers. But first and foremost, on page 10, it's great to see that the islands of the Southern Great Barrier Reef have been put into the map. We know it's not a tourism map, but we have raised this previously, and it's pleasing to see that all the islands do get recognised and that should be the same for any other future literature, and I believe that that's the case. Page 73 relates to registers. I've raised this again. There's a long list of registers there, I think in excess of 30, 35 registers. So its question is that, do all those registers, or can I say, are those registers available for public access? Can any of our residents and ratepayers access those registers? I know that I've asked the question previously when we delegate authority to the CEO. In the CEO's register, that is the case. Is that the case?
Yes, I imagine all registers are available on the website or available at request.
Lovely, thank you for that. Page 82, we're talking about some future items here. We're talking about, on page 82, we're talking about Easter in Gladstone. And we understand the theme there, where I'm sure Mayor Matt is right behind that, and we all are. Easter in Gladstone because of the pre-launch and the historic Brisbane to Gladstone. But I just wonder whether we could make that Easter in Gladstone region, because it's not just about Gladstone. I understand the relevance of Gladstone, but others get the opportunity. So if we're going to do a campaign with our partners, whilst I understand the significance of the name Gladstone, I thought it might also be appropriately that we could have Easter in Gladstone region, which encompasses Raglan to Rosedale and anyway to the ranges, to the reef and everywhere in between. Is that possible?
If you're comfortable, I can take that to the community events team. Did you want it changed just in this report?
Not at all.
Or in the ongoing campaigns?
I'm not planning to change any wording in the report today. In actual fact, it's exemplary. I'm just simply wanted to get a couple of points clarified. That was all. So we'll have a campaign that's relevant to the region.
The campaign itself will be relevant to the region and is promoted widely outside of our region, right across Queensland.
I can help that. It's promoted on big billboards on the Gateway Bridge. It's promoted on the back of buses in Moreton Bay, promoted right across Queensland up to Mackay and west to Emerald, promoting Easter in the Gladstone region. The theme might be Easter in Gladstone, but it's promoting the whole region, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you for that. Page 97, we're undertaking, this is future, we're reviewing a cemetery network, and we have had previous reports on that, increasing capacity. I'm just trying to get an understanding in that review what the trigger point might be for the Discovery Coast Agnes Water 1770. I know that that's been raised before. Would someone or one of the general managers have some indicative idea of what that might be in relation to that part of our region?
Yes, Councillor. We've currently got a proposed ashes facility in Agnes Water with a trigger of population reaching 4,500. Okay,
so when the population in that area is 4,500, that will trigger something to occur in that part of the region.
Correct, yes, and there'll be a cemetery plan published later this year.
Yeah, thank you for that. Obviously, that'll be a future discussion in relation to planning and development. Page 99, the Gladstone Region Investment Prospectus, and I suppose through you, Carly, is that still relevant, or does that need to be reviewed because we've got a changing economic environment out there, as you would be well aware, and the GEA Industry Conference recently raised a whole range of issues, impacts and benefits. Do we need to review that investment prospectus? It doesn't say review it.
We do have that on an annual review cycle, so our Economic Development Specialist works with the Economic Development Network, Practitioners Network.
Great, thank you for that. Page 134, in reading through the COVID recovery plan, this might perhaps be a question to Mayor Matt or our LDMG coordinator. In light of the potential now for the opening of the borders probably prior to Christmas or hopefully at some time when we can all start to enjoy visitation from all parts of the nation, does that COVID recovery plan remain in existence as it is now, or is that under continual review? And is it still relevant to what might occur?
So that current recovery plan is closed. However, there is some work being done in-house at the moment to make sure that the business is prepared and that we ensure we have all the measures in place to make sure that our people are safe once the borders open. And if there are, we also regularly meet to ensure that if there are any things we need to do in the community, we're tapped into all of those community groups to pick up another recovery plan if we need to.
Okay, so you're indicating that the current COVID recovery plan is closed and it's continual discussion, continual dialogue and review, and subject to what might occur, we'll develop another plan going into 2022.
That's right. A lot of the networks that were set up during the COVID recovery is still in place and actively meeting so that we can step things back if we need to.
I'm not preempting that something will happen, but there's a lot of people speculating that when the borders open, something may or will happen. And in that world, it's expect the unexpected. All right, thank you for that. And just to wrap up on my couple of points, and I'm sure my fellow councillors have got plenty of others. This one is the chestnut that I continually raise here in local government land is our community service obligations. It may not necessarily be a question to you because it's a wonderful, terrific, I shouldn't say wonderful, it's a terrific Queensland Audit Office report, but we're required to report on our CSOs, our community service obligations. So from a governance disclosure perspective, I'm just trying to understand and reading in it about 130, page 138 through to about page 144, it might be a question to our General Manager of Finance and Governance. Have we fulfilled our requirements in relation to reporting on the CSOs and any other relevant comments that might relate to community service obligations?
I can confirm we have fulfilled our legislative requirements by the reporting that's in this report. I'll just see if Mark has any other further comments on that. Comfortable? Thank you.
That's all. Thanks for that, Mayor Matt. Impressive and exemplary. Thank you. Hopefully it's a gold award winner.
Platinum. Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I don't have that many questions really. It's more like it's a bit of a comment and a congratulations to not just your team but everyone. The report, it's great. I think it's a great report that doesn't just inform our community, but it also makes our staff feel really proud of what we've done. So it's normally people in the general opinion, and it's not sometimes that, not everyone knows everything that the council provides to the community. And this report touches on everything that we do. And I think this, coupled with what we're doing right now, for example, the live streaming and the availability of the meetings in YouTube after, makes us be a lot more accountable. Also allows me to say hello to my mother all the way around the other side of the world. Hi, Mom. Hola, Ma. And so, yeah, I think it's great. So I think we can actually start counting the hours of live stream and community participation, or at least engagement with our meetings and what we do here as elected members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Councillors, any further questions? Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's a really good report. Thanks to the team for all the efforts, and it just outlines everything that's happened. I'll just note very quickly, I think it's great to see the acknowledgements and recognition of the contributions by our Youth Council, and I do note that I believe nominations are open for the intake of the 2022 Youth Council. So for anyone watching, if you know anyone or if you are someone that's between the age of, I think it's 15 and 24 or 25, please nominate. It's great to see some of the growth and development in some of these fantastic young people over the last couple of years as they've been engaged in our youth council and the contributions that they've made to our community. I know they work in a large number of areas, from events to even traffic improvements around some of our schools, and a whole range of issues that they make contributions to. So keep an eye out for that, and we hope to see some really more fantastic young people to come on board in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any further comments or questions? No, yes, move Councillor. Move Councillor Churchill, second, and Councillor Hansen. Before I put the motion, I also want to congratulate you and the team, Carly. But I also want to take the opportunity to, page 76, 77 and 78 are our senior executive team. And without the senior executive team, there'd be no point putting this annual report together, because they wouldn't have been able to deliver everything that is in this report over the last 12 months. I think our team have done a fantastic job. This was a year of delivering our capital works program, a year of delivering that capital budget, our operating budget, all with a 0 rate increase. So thank you to our senior executive team. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to councillors for supporting this document as well today. It really is a great document, and I notice, and I love the photo on the front page. So I know a lot of people in the Gladstone region aren't going to pick it up, but please take the opportunity to, if it's the first time you ever read an annual report, forget all the ones in the past that have been clinical. This is actually user-friendly and easy to read, and you don't have to, it looks like a big document, you don't have to go all the way through to the end. Just have a flick through and read the bits that are relevant to you. I think you'll find that there's lots of important information there about what your council does for you. We're elected to represent the community. We try very hard to do that, and here is a report from what's happened in the last 12 months, and I commend it to the community.
Sorry,
Carly?
Mr Mayor, I'll just note, when it does get published online, it has a lot of hyperlinks in it. So if you go to the contents page, you can select what you'd like to view and it'll take you straight there. There's also a lot of video content as well, so it can be quite interesting to have a look at.
Thank you, Carly. Excellent. I have a move up. Councillor Churchill, second, and Councillor Hansen. I put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Sarah. The next item on the agenda is the 2021-2022 Operational Plan Quarter 1 report. Hand back to you, Carly.
Thank you. I get to share lots of successes today. It's a good day. So today we're presenting the operational plan report, the quarter 1 report for the 21-22 year, our current year. It's our first report towards our refreshed corporate plan 21-26. We're undertaking 14 initiatives across our 5 new goals, and initiatives are all on track and progressing as planned. Some highlights from the quarter include we released our economic development strategy, just over 62,000 visitors across our region's libraries, 44,000 visits to our region's landfills and transfer stations. We're just under 2,000 ICT service requests handled internally, 270 road signs replaced or maintained, 250 trees were planted at National Tree Day. That was a fun day. 16 employees were trained in mental health first aid, and just under 200,000 social media interactions across our social accounts for all of GRC and GRC facilities. We also celebrated 875 years of service at a service anniversary lunch in the quarter. There is one correction in the report. The customer solutions team interactions are noted as I think around 10,000 in the report. That's a monthly figure, not a quarterly figure. Quarterly figure is actually just over 33,000, so 3 times that amount. I also thank the team for their continuous improvement in this product as well. Another great storyteller for the region. The team are really focusing on making sure we're able to sell the success or share the successes of that council has, but also be transparent about the challenges that we have as well through these reporting cycles.
Thank you, Carly. Questions to General Manager, please. No. Everyone's happy. Councillor Hansen.
Yes, Mr Mayor, thank you. It's very good to see all of the green lights in a report, so it means we're on track early, which is really good. So congratulations.
Thank you. Councillor Goodluck.
I'll just second that from Councillor Hansen. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time I've seen a quarterly operational plan report where every single target is green and on track, so it's really good to see, and yeah, look forward to seeing the progress for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Councillor Muscat.
No, I just also wanted to encourage people to read this, because this is, you know, you don't have to read the 250 pages like in the other one, but if you're on the, yeah, of course you can, yes, but I'm just saying, if after you read the annual report, this is, you know, small bites. And again, you know, when we read things about, you know, the amount of dog attacks that we manage, the amount of different signs that we erect, the potholes that we fix, it does give a different picture to what sometimes some people think, and keeping in mind that we have, you know, 10,000 square kilometres to service is something that it's not that simple, and I think we need to encourage people to read this, and the information, the way that the information's been laid out also really corresponds to what we discussed earlier last year as to where we want to go. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Can I have a mover for the report, please? Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Seconding Councillor Branthwaite. Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried. The next item on the agenda is the Queensland Audit Office Closing Report, G3.3, and I'll hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Thank you, Mark.
Morning, Mayor and Councillors. Attached is the both the closing report prepared by Queensland Audit Office with respect to the report to both the Mayor and also the CEO with respect to the audit of Council's financial statements for 30 June 2021. Pleased to report that we had received an unmodified audit opinion and no significant deficiencies raised. There have been 3 improvement items identified there. 2 of those were already part of our plan and part of our multi-year program with respect to works delivery. So that's the project with respect to our asset improvement, and also as part of that some of our software improvements with respect to our procure to pay process. The other additional issue there was with respect to asset recognition, which will also be brought up and resolved through the works delivery program. So yeah, pleased to commend the report and for your adoption in line with our legislative requirements.
Thanks, Mark. Questions to the General Manager, please.
I haven't got a question, but I'd be happy to move.
Thank you. Thank you. Move, Councillor Hansen. Second, and Councillor Muscat. No. Yes, Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, just a quick comment, Mayor Matt. As you know, these Queensland Audit Office reports get reported to Parliament every year, and we've seen the good and the bad across local government. I suppose in your capacity as well on the state executive. I think at this particular stage, I think it would be most appropriate that perhaps our local member for Gladstone might also note that this report is a shining light of what we're doing in local government land, and he may be able to speak to it in Parliament.
He may. I don't know.
It was only some encouraging comment more than anything.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's well. I mean, the reality of it is that more and more, as we have seen in reports to the state parliament in previous times, you know, it's easy to find fault. But the reality of it is, in local government land, from our local government perspective, again, this is a great report, and I would hope that they can also acknowledge those local governments that are doing it well in tough times.
Can I echo your thoughts there too, Councillor, and having attended the recent LGAQ conference, it is obvious that this council runs a lot more smoothly than other councils in the region, so in the state. So, yeah, I could echo those comments.
Thank you, Councillor Hansen. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Cameron.
Just one, Mark, in reading through that, I see that the auditor picked up where our ratios are getting thrown out with this refinancing payment that we made, being that those accounts were looked at, you know, in the last financial year. Is that being corrected now, that won't show up again?
Yeah, so the recognition of the early repayment adjustment as part of that refinancing is essentially a one-off transaction. So that will be reflected in the accounts for last financial year, so ended 30 June 21. In the 21-22 statements, that won't be there. You'll see that in our comparative position though, and we'll obviously disclose that in the notes, but certainly that's a one-off.
Thank you. No further comments or questions. I have a mover in Councillor Hansen, a second in Councillor Muscat. Put the motion. All in favour? That is carried. Thank you, Mark. The next item on the agenda is G3.4, which is the review of Councillor Reimbursement of Expenses and Provision of Facilities Policy. Hand back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a part of a regular review of our policies and relates to the policy that guides the reimbursement of expenses to councillors and the provisions of facilities and support to our elected members. The team has done our governance team has done a lot of good work with elected members as to how the previous policy was serving you, and has looked at how we can update that to make sure that this policy takes into account some of the changes that have occurred in the provision of that support since it was last revised. It's also taken into account some updated definitions and a few other minor amendments, but happy to take amendments. There's no significant change there in terms of the material support provided to councillors.
Thank you, Mark. Questions to the General Manager, please? No questions. Can I have a mover, please? Move Councillor Cameron, seconded Councillor Churchill. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Mark. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is G3.5, 60-22, biosolids removal and reuse emergency works. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Operations, John Tumbers. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, councillors. Item 3.5 asks council to retrospectively endorse the expansion of biosolids removal and reuse under emergency works provisions. GRC had a contract in place with Confirm Proprietary Limited for the removal and reuse of dry biosolids material from wastewater treatment plants. However, in September this year, Confirm Proprietary Limited went into administration and closed operations, which placed GRC at a risk of continuity of its wastewater treatment plant operations. Sorry. Therefore, under emergency provisions, GRC negotiated a contract with Reimbursement Australia Proprietary Limited to provide biosolids removal services on an immediate and temporary basis. The temporary contract is intended to remain in place until a longer term tender is offered to the wider market and awarded, expected to be early 2022. We expect around $800,000 of expenditure over a 6-month contract term for this. Open for questions.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Christy. Any questions, please, councillors? Comments?
No, yeah, thanks, John. I was just trying to get an understanding. I understand the recommendation and support the recommendation, but further down in your report, in option 1, which is your officer's recommendation, and whether it's just an oversight or missing, but there was no mention of Arkwood in your... It's in your recommendation up the top, which I support, but in your option 1 in your report, it says just entering into a contract with RAJV through direct engagement. So I was just trying to understand whether they were out on option 1, but now they're in on the officer's recommendation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, do you want to make a comment on Arkwood?
Thanks for the question, Councillor. So the current contract is with RAJV, which is a joint venture arrangement between Arkwood and Remondis.
Okay, all right, now I understand. Thank you for that. Yep, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you. Move.
Happy to move the motion.
Move Councillor Hansen, seconded Councillor Branthwaite. No further questions? No. Put the motion. All in favour. That's carried. Thank you, John. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 3.6 seeks resolution from council to enter into a service provider agreements under a register of pre-qualified suppliers for the provision of survey services for council. GRC went to tender for survey services as listed in the report and received 9 conforming proposals. The report recommends entering into agreements with 5 vendors as they present best value for council and scored higher in the technical aspects of the tender. These companies are AAM Proprietary Limited, Frederickson McLean and Associates, JFP Urban Consultants, Masters Surveying and North Group Consulting. Open for questions.
Thanks, John. Questions, councillors?
No, support the recommendation.
Yeah, happy to as well. So a mover, please. Move Councillor Cameron, seconded Councillor Muscat. Put the motion. All in favour. It's carried.
Thank you.
Was an easy one. G 3.7 is Summer Biosecurity Program Surveillance 2021, and I hand over to the General Manager of Customer Experience, Rob Huth. This is normally something we would go through very quickly, Rob, but there is a suggestion to add something to it, so I might hand over to you first.
No worries at all. Thanks, Mayor Matt, and good morning, councillors. Council runs 2 biosecurity surveillance programs a year, a winter program and a summer program. This report seeks council approval to implement the 2021-22 summer program. Surveillance programs are used to monitor compliance with the Act, confirm the presence and extent of biosecurity matter, and monitor the effectiveness of measures undertaken by landowners. This proactive program will be undertaken across all areas of the region, allowing the nominated species to be mapped, compliance to be undertaken, and provide an insight into designing future programs and schedules to maximise their effect. And happy to take any questions.
Normally I would have just moved and seconded and we'd be on to the next item because it's something we do every 6 months and have done forever. And in Councillor O'Grady's absence, she has mentioned Feathertop Roads grass to be added. Your thoughts and those councillors that are on the CPMG's thoughts, please?
Yeah, I will check into this, but I'm not sure that Feathertop is a declared species under the program, so it's something that council can't necessarily include into our program. But I'll certainly take that on notice and report back.
Councillor Churchill?
Yeah, thanks for that, Mayor Matt. There was one here I just think off the top of my head. I know it's covering all the various grasses as such, but fisheries are also involved, and I know that I've raised this previously. Where does tilapia finish or fit within this biosecurity surveillance program? Because there has been reports, and I know others around the table have had some information provided to them, but I'm just trying to work out if tilapia fits in this at this stage, or if it's still under, watch and wait. I have a concern if it's a watch and wait approach, because while we're watching, it's happening, and if we wait too long, then it'll be difficult to be able to removed.
Yeah, thanks for the question. The Department of Agriculture and Fisheries advised us that tilapia is not a declared invasive biosecurity matter, and therefore council doesn't have authority to manage that species as such. So any identification of tilapia within our region, we need to refer that to DAF, which we have done because there's a dam down around the Agnes water area that we're aware of that contains it.
Correct.
So we've forwarded that information onto DAF to try and take some action on it.
Okay, so if we, albeit residents of the region, become aware that there are persons introducing the tilapia into the region, appropriately they take that straight on to the Department of Agriculture
and Fisheries. Yep.
Direct, not through local government.
Yes, that's correct.
All
but
right.
More than happy to pass that on if customers come to us.
Yeah, anyway, it's a wake-up call, I suppose. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The councillors on CPMG, is that Councillor Cameron? Could you speak
Yes,
to the...
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just back to the Feathertop Roads grass, that was brought up some time ago, and a few of the councillors, Khan was with us too. Went on a field trip to have a look at the problems that this is causing. The major problem with it is that this particular grass, which has no or very little nutrient value to it, is resistant to glyphosate and very, very hard to control. The only chemicals, the one that they use with a mixture of glyphosate does tend to roll this thing over. It rolls everything else over in its path as well. There is no real appetite with any of the councils to address this. We addressed it with Rockhampton and Banana and our people here. And being that it is predominantly in a grazing area where we looked at it, there was no great concern. Where the concern is where this grass grows on the roadsides, and they're small roads with gravel shoulders. These seeds could be picked up in vehicles, and we could end up finding it moving into town, and that was the concern that was brought up, and that's why Councillor O'Grady has brought it up today. So that's just a bit of a background on it as to, we actually did suggest this to our people, but it was almost like don't mention the war sort of thing, that it's the cost to deal with this thing is prohibitive, and it's only really relative to cropping grounds where they grow crops. So, but yeah, sure, we should investigate that further.
Councillor Goodluck?
I think the from memory, it's not a declared species, so it's not a priority. We can never tackle all the weeds and all the pest species. We have to prioritise what work we can do and where we apply our resources, and that's why we've got these priority species here: the African tulip tree, the giant rat's tail, etc., etc. But there are a number of documents and resources available to people to be able to try and manage, in particular, the feathertop if they're experiencing those issues. And I suspect, Rob, you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, that we'd be only too happy to help guide people to those materials and resources in the event that they contact us with this issue.
Absolutely, and we've obviously spoken with the team. This has been around for a little while now. We have been undertaking some activities on those roads. I think it's Mount Elmer Road, I think is where it was identified. So I know that the team are actively trying to undertake some measures within our road corridor, and more than happy to help residents and property owners try and address the matter within their property as well, where we can.
And it's important that, particularly that property owners have pest management strategies in place, and then particularly for our own workforce when we're driving, if we're entering and exiting those properties, that we're complying, I should say, with those management strategies, so that we don't unintentionally spread these sorts of pest species. So, but I'm happy to support the recommendation today and absolutely continue to work on the feathertop as it progresses.
Thank you. Would you like to move that? Moved Councillor Goodluck, seconded Councillor Trevor. Any further comments? Put the motion. All in favour? Thank you. It's carried. The next item on the agenda is G3.8, which is approved place names register. Neville Gregory. How appropriate.
Thanks, Mayor Matt. And Council received an application to add Neville Gregory to the approved place names register to be utilised in future for naming of a road. The applicant lodged the request in recognition of Neville Gregory's contribution to the Gladstone community through his support of the Lions Club, local sporting clubs and the Harbour Festival. And happy to take any questions.
Councillor Trevor. Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Seconded Councillor Cameron. Any comments or questions? Thank you, Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, just a quick excuse me. Just a quick comment. I support Councillor Trevor's recommendation, or the officer's recommendation, but the background information, in reading that background information in relation to, just in relation to the Gregory's Jewellers, I know that it's bound by confidentiality because it's in the confidential report. But the information itself is worthy of everybody to read that story. I'm sure each of you have read the story behind it, but it's a fascinating story, and they're the sort of stories that should be told, and I'm not quite sure how you can bring that information out of confidential and put it in for public viewing, because I think it's a wonderful story about Neville Gregory and the family.
I can't answer that if it's in a confidential agenda. Lisa?
My advice would be there's a part of the attachment that's confidential, which is people's personal information, but the other information about the history would not be confidential, so I'm sure we can find a way to be able to publish that.
So would the mover of the recommendation be prepared to just accept that, that would be recorded publicly for history?
Happy to do that, Councillor Churchill. Great idea.
Doesn't it happen as part of a course? Don't we have a link to the register of the reasons why people are added?
I understood Councillor Churchill's request was about the specific article that was attached and having that, so Council can resolve that way if you wish, or I don't think there's any issue with us acting on that administratively, so it's at Council's discretion.
If councillors wish, that article would have been a published article at the time, so it wouldn't be confidential, and we can attach it to the minutes of this meeting if you wish.
Do I need to include that in the recommendation? Or just accept it as it is and it happens?
It would make it tidier to
Okay.
include it in the resolution.
And you're happy to accept that amendment? Thank you. I have a mover in Councillor Trevor and second in Councillor Cameron that the officer's recommendation be adopted with the amendment of including the attachment in the agenda. Put the motion. All in favour? In the minutes. Thank you. Carried. Thank you, councillors. We move now to deputations. We don't have a deputation today. We then go on to councillor reports, and the first councillor report is the LGAQ Waste Forum, and I hand over to Councillor Hansen. It's all right. The report's tabled. You don't need to speak to it. It's only if you want to.
The report is tabled, and Councillor Branthwaite and I attended this very progressive conference where recovery on waste is most paramount now, rather than sending everything to landfill. There's a lot of work on FOGO being done, which is the food and organic waste. A few councils are doing a trial now. One of them is Rockhampton, actually, and one of them is Cairns. Townsville, and another one is Somerset. And they're getting good reports back from the community. They're getting a low percentage of mixed waste, so most people are doing the right thing. So they're looking at going further, those councils, and putting it into many more areas in their town on the acceptance of the general public. Yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on reuse now and recovery on items. So we've here in Gladstone just starting to implement our strategic plan, and of course we're moving in that direction. We're looking at FOGO right now. We've got some community engagement happening now at all the landfills. Just have a look at what's happening there, so that you can tell us what you would like or how you would like to handle the FOGO or your food waste and organic waste here in the region. So, Councillor Branthwaite, you got anything else?
I think there's a lot of new sort of language being spoken. It's not actually new, but it's just being a bit more, people a bit more aware of your stewardship and products that we buy, and making sure that the likes of your soft plastic that is wrapping your food is able to be handled. But there's also the likes of your what Rachel Burgess was saying, and I was seeing your report there with regard to e-waste. It's anything that's got a battery or run by electricity. It obviously trying to reduce the amount that's going to landfill. A lot of those products are actually recyclable, or there's recoverable. Some of them have got rare earth metals in them, but other of them have got recoverables like copper and so forth. The likes of the Lockyer Valley with their trial, they trialled 1,000 homes for the FOGO, and in the first week, 1,000 homes and businesses. In the first week, they got 6.9 tonnes of material that did not go into the landfill, creating all sorts of gases, like greenhouse gases. So we're sort of fortunate that here in Gladstone we actually capture that at our landfill, which is a real pat in the back for this organisation and our region. I think looking over what we're doing here and what other councils are doing, there's a lot of foresight from this organisation, from our council here, has gone into a waste recovery, and that will just increase. But it is certainly, it's going to be an expensive thing down the track to process waste, and I think as a household or a ratepayer myself, it's a matter of what we actually do with that at home. So it's separating and putting it in the right bin.
Councillor Churchill.
Just a brief question, and I know that I've raised it previously, but in your report, exemplary report, Councillor Rick, Councillor Darrell, thank you, and very informative. But one of the points that Dylan Walker raised was in your report from the DES was the increase in can recycling that's occurring, and we do know locally that is continual. But I'm just wondering if it's, at what stage do they go beyond the cans? Because the bottles are still an issue, and also plastic bottles, milk bottles and that sort of thing. So did they encompass any aspects of that about trying to expand the recycling, or where that might go in the future? Or is it watch and wait as well?
He only mentioned the can part of it, but they are working continuously on bottles and whatever to...
Yeah, there's a lot of products being used now for crushed glass. It's now going in for stabilising sand at a certain size around piping and ditches and that sort of thing. There's also a lot going into roadways. I think Rockhampton Regional Council had a go at some of their products in there. So, but yeah, look, I think they're managing what they can with it at the moment. And it's probably about people not contaminating bins more than anything.
But just regarding that, most of these presentations have already been sent to you, so
yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact wording of what he said there. This is only a summary. So if you want to have a look at that, you can go back and have a look at what he actually said with his presentation.
Great.
I hope you've all got those presentations. I sent them out straight after.
They come on email, yeah.
Yep. And the only other question was the MRF. I suppose from a local government or central Queensland perspective, the MRF, as we know, sadly, the demise of the MRF up in Rockhampton, it says 2022 it'll be rebuilt. Is that early? Or have they got a date when that MRF, or is it late 2022? Do we know?
No, I don't think there's a definitive date on it. For those that are watching online and don't know what a MRF is, it's a material handling facility. So, and we do share that across the rock.
Material recycling facility.
Recycling facility, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I got my letters wrong.
Sure.
But no, there's no definitive date, but they are working feverishly on it because I think all 3 councils or 4 councils are actually sending their products to north and south, to Mackay or down to Ipswich at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
Lisa?
So just to add to that, thank you, Mr Mayor, there's still insurance issues that are unresolved for the owner of the MRF, so there's no confirmation of rebuilding or timeframes at this point in time. So we have current agreements in place up until the end of January 22, so we anticipate we'll have more certainty about what's happening at that time.
Okay, thanks for that. I will get updated on that at a later time. Thank you.
Any further comments on that? No? Any further councillor reports?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have a report that the GAPDL held their annual general meeting on last Thursday, and just let me get this up so I can have a reference to it. And after 18 years of service to the community through GAPDL, Lee Zimmerly stood down from the chair position. She says she's going to retire, but I doubt that'll happen. So I think she'll be involved with other things. So congratulations on your service, Lee. In her place, Rob Gibb, who was the industry rep, has stepped into the chair's position. He, and the only other change to the board was our new industry rep is Marilyn Steele from QGC. Just to note, there was a surplus budget delivered again this year. I've got a copy of the report. Would you rather me send it to you individually, or I can attach it to the minutes? Brooke can attach it to the minutes of this meeting, so whatever you prefer.
Happy for it just to be sent by email, if that's okay.
I can send it all to you by email. Everything that's been happening in that space is in that report, and there's a report from the chair, and of course, and from the CEO. So, if you want to refer to that, that's fine.
Brooke, did you have?
Sorry, Mayor, I just wanted to note that the waste report before was a formal report submitted as part of the agenda. It needs to be accepted by a resolution.
Okay. Can I have a mover for, thank you, Councillor Hansen's report. Move Councillor Muscat, seconded Councillor Cameron. Put that motion all in favour. That's carried. Thanks, Brooke. Any further general business?
Mayor Matt, while many of you were away doing important local government business in Mackay at the LGAQ conference, those that were here attended to a number of AGMs and community events, including the State QCWA conference, the State QCWA AGM, the Boyne Valley Community Discovery Centre. Even Glow had their AGM as well, so there's a number of them, and perhaps rather than bother at this particular stage, I might just simply do a brief report for the next meeting.
That'd be fantastic, and it's good to see the Country Women's Association of Queensland hosting their annual conference in Gladstone again. They must love our entertainment centre. Councillor Muscat might like to add.
If we talking about QCWA, then I would also like to say happy birthday to my own branch in Tannum Sands. This year we turned 50, and we had a nice morning the other day. And again, yeah, there's a lot of things happening in Gladstone, in the Gladstone region, adding to what Councillor Churchill said. And something, I don't know if we mentioned how wonderful popcorn was as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
did you want to
great.
mention how
Thanks
wonderful
to the
popcorn
team.
was?
Yeah.
I only went for an hour because I didn't have any kids with me, but those that took children and young adults with them were just absolutely blown away by what was happening in there, and it was congratulations to, I said to Josh, who was part of it, who's inside, that it's one of the best events I've ever seen, so, and I'm not a comic liker.
Great idea developed. I went for 1 hour and stayed for 6.
Yeah.
Only because I had the grandchildren.
Also, I just wanted to wish, I just got to meet a few students at Gladstone West School, and a lot of the schools in the region are participating on the Gladstone First Lego League this Saturday morning at CQU. So wishing all of those students the best of luck, and I've also might have committed that we might like to invite them to do a presentation if they do something, see if there's any winners, or I might have just invited them to come and do a presentation to council so everyone here and online can see it.
That'll be fantastic. We'd
Thank
love
you.
to have them here. I go to that event every year, but unfortunately at this time I don't think I can make it. So, yeah, look, it is great to see the kids getting involved in that Lego League every year. I know Sarah and her team do an amazing job putting it together. Councillor, good luck.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just briefly on the LGAQ conference in Mackay, we did put one motion from the Gladstone Regional Council, which was successful in regards to working more closely with the Transport and Main Roads around heavy vehicle freight access in and out of the city. We've got some issues with a number of bridges, and particularly when we talk to the port, we've got conservative estimates, of about 1,500 plus wind towers coming through our port and in and out of our city over the next 10 years. Each one of these wind towers is about 200 metres tall, broken down into 13 sections with 80-metre long blades. So considerable infrastructure challenges with getting these products in and out of Gladstone City, and that was supported by the conference floor, and so we look forward to hopefully being able to work more closely with Transport and Main Roads over the coming months to try and find solutions for these, and also important for some of our local businesses like Komatsu, which are also facing issues with heavy vehicle freight. Just on LGAQ, I always find the Local Government Association of Queensland conference really informative, and I think it broadens councillors' horizons around the broad issues that local government faces in Queensland. I was talking to a couple of Indigenous councillors, Barry Bowen from, I think it's Hopevale Shire Council, and another councillor from Cherbourg, from Aboriginal Shire Councils, about constituents that these are dry communities, and when they get caught with alcohol, they get criminal convictions against their name, and it can have a whole broad range of impacts to their people around employment, and even in cases where it comes to care for children. So it was just, as someone, here in Gladstone, we can all go and have a beer, and it's just a normal day-to-day activity for a lot of people. there's other communities out there that just face very broad and different challenges with respect to that. And then also talking to, big city councillors like Brisbane and Gold Coast and the massive infrastructure challenges they have. Councillor Chris Cameron, Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Hansen and myself also had a bit of an impromptu meeting with some mayors and councillors from across the southwestern regions in regards to inland rail, and had some really interesting conversations there, and certainly will continue that advocacy in that space. So it's always really, and there's a lot of great content, a lot of really interesting and important motions debated on the conference floor. And just finally, I'd like to join with you, Mayor Matt, in congratulating Councillor Hansen for 15 years service to local government, and I'd also like to acknowledge our Mayor, Matt Burnett, who received his 21 years certificate for 21 years service to local government, and I believe there was only a very small handful of people out of some 30-odd recipients that had longer than 21 years service. So one of the longest serving councillors in the state, Mayor Matt, and on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to congratulate you and thank you for your service.
And I saw him dancing as well.
Very late. I blame Sarah Vogler for that. Thank you, Councillor. Good luck. Further general business or council reports. Now, before I close the meeting, I just want to mention a couple of things. Obviously, the 11th of November is Remembrance Day, and I no doubt councillors will be attending Remembrance Day services across the region, and I encourage members of the community to attend those services where possible as well. But there's one day coming up on the 13th of November, which is a big day right across the region. There's a number of events happening. First and foremost, it is the community open day for the Phillips Street Communities and Family Precinct. That's from 1 to 4 p.m, and I invite the entire Gladstone region and those around central Queensland if they want to come and have a look at what this amazing facility is. So that's on Saturday the 13th of November, 1 to 4 p.m. We also have the Tenham Kindy celebrating their 40th birthday that day, and the Baffle Art Group having their annual art exhibition on the same night as well. So the 13th of November is a Saturday and a very busy day. It's part of National Recycling Week that week as well, and McHappy Day. And I think, if you know anyone in the community who has been to or needed the assistance of the Ronald McDonald House in Brisbane or the Ronald McDonald House Charities, certainly worth going and supporting McHappy Day on the 13th of November as well to support Ronald McDonald House Charities. It's whether you buy a Big Mac or a helping hand, all the money goes towards supporting the Ronald McDonald House Charities, and it's an amazing charity. So thank you to the team there for what they do, because Central Queenslanders, by and large, probably one of the most user groups of that facility in Brisbane, because it's so far away from home. So thank you to the team at Ronald McDonald House Charities, and I honestly encourage everyone to get involved in McHappy Day. And the last thing before I wrap up, it's done well, councillors. It's 10 o'clock and well and truly in time for the Melbourne Cup, which is happening today. So I hope you draw a horse in a sweepstake, or you might have won one last night in the Calcutta. Someone I know got Delphi, so congratulations to them, and I'm sure Incentivise will do very well as well. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, officers. I declare the meeting closed at 2 minutes past 10.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.